Our next conversation today is with two of my favorite entrepreneurs who are leveraging Web3 for positive impact. You know, God forbid there's actually double bottom lines in some of these business models. But these two amazing entrepreneurs, I'm very happy to call friend and colleague, Raymond St. Martin, the CEO of ESAIYO, and McCain, the CEO and founder of UltraMarine. I'm going to start a little bit. I'm going to start with Raymond St. Martin. Tell us a little bit about your journey as an entrepreneur and how did you discover Web3?
Wow. So let's see all the failures. Let's just say there were many. You know, you learn as an entrepreneur that when you fall down, you kind of lick your wounds and you get back up. But in 2014, I realized that technology was accelerating to the pace that we would very soon be able to track and trace every physical object on Earth if we gave it a one-to-one relationship. So I saw it as a system. I spent a year designing it, and then
you want to speak directly into the mic.
I will speak directly into the microphone. Is that better? All right. So back in the early days of Web3.
Never really. Yeah. So we created this whole system and architecture, and then got it patented. Spent 5 years working on it to the point where it was a patented system that could assign a one-to-one relationship between a place, we call it a safe deposit box, for all the contextual data around any object, and then connect them with their systems that allow them to be paired and create categories. Because I figure that's where our brain works, right? Like we want to be able to generalize, we want to be able to socialize these things. And that really started this whole journey. Once I found out blockchain in 2017, I was late to the party. Like I thought that Bitcoin was just for video game players to maybe get rewarded at some point. And I was like, I don't play video games, so I'll look at it later. Shame on me. But in 2017, I found that there was just really no real, like to me, like no real value in these nodes. It's like, so it's a transaction, but where's the value in that? Couldn't we use that same technology to store these safe deposit boxes? Couldn't we like use that technology to start connecting all of these things around truth and reality and videos? And so that was really my step into this one. We've been building it for the last 4 years.
Yeah, and to talk about ESAIYO Trace and the ESAIYO white paper that was just released last week, and how that's going to change the industry.
Yeah, so I mean, at first, we wanted to be the Facebook for objects, right? We're going to do everything. We're going to boil the ocean, everything, and just come to our world and be this control kind of center, and we know best. And we found out along the way that that wasn't the best idea. And in fact, that's not even our core principles. That's not even who we are. Like, we want everyone to win. And so we created our system, this first system that we call ESAIYO Trace, that allows anybody to instantiate an object, a physical object, create a digital object, and then no matter where that digital object goes or what happens to it, the metadata and provenance is never lost. So if you mint something on Polygon and then you create a new token on Ethereum, when you move it over that bridge, you're going to be burning it, recreating it, but the data's lost. There's nothing. It's like, oh, I'm going to polyscan, and I'll see what it is now. There's no real proof. And so, in order for, I get really goosebumps thinking about this idea, but in order for like Web3 to truly be Web3, we have to go beyond just transparency, ownership, and proof, to the point where we have trust. And we can't have trust if we're losing data. We can't have trust if we can't point to something and say, yes, that's that thing. If we're burning and recreating and not tracking and tracing, then there's no trust. So ESAIYO Trace is going to be open to anybody who's building to come in and build on ESAIYO Trust. Just to use our tracking and tracing. Whatever you're doing, you can operate your own node. You have a collection like on-chain monkeys. Just access us. You know, use us to make yourselves better. And we believe that everyone who's making themselves better with this technology will create a community that then becomes a decentralized voice and a centralized power.
Yeah, no, I'm just starting to understand the full power of the ESAIYO platform myself. It's exciting to think about all the use cases. Talk about Barbados and social impact, and then I want to get to Jeremy.
Yeah, so when we were still pursuing this idea of being on Facebook of objects, we began speaking with the Prime Minister of Barbados and her team about these archives that they have. So these historical documents that exist that are just not protected well, they're not digitized, they're not connected, but they contain the stories of humanity going back as far as we possibly can, depending upon the country, sometimes back to the year 1000. And so we've been working with them to create really what we would call the global heritage story, which then takes these assets, gives them a one-to-one identity, creates those relationships that we're talking about, and allows people that are doing research to then surface those stories and then connect them to assets like Ghana and Mexico, Puerto Rico, and even here in the United States.
Yeah, well, we'll come back to that. My good friend Jeremy McCain sitting next to Raymond, and Jeremy, maybe you can hold the mic a little bit closer. You've had a little bit more experience with this, I think, so no excuses. Jeremy and I met at Clubhouse, for any of you guys who've ever used Clubhouse in this room. It used to be the hottest app on the planet about a year and a half ago, and I think we were both beta testers. I was number like 4,800 or something. And Jeremy and I were both on there producing a lot of content around sustainability. And Jeremy in particular, I just really gravitated to his work because he was always talking about solutions. How do we leverage technology to actually create impact? And that's why he's here today. I'd love for you to talk to us a little bit about UltraMarine and the work that you've been working on to basically save the oceans.
Well, thank you for that. I don't think the oceans or the earth needs saving. I think it's the people. We're the ones that created the problem. So I think the earth is going to be just fine without us, just FYI. Not a popular view, I know. But my company is not UltraMarine. My company is OCN.AI. UltraMarine is a gathering that I do on Necker Island. Just really quickly, OCN.AI was created at the World Economic Forum in 2018. I had this crazy idea because everyone said, hey, we have all this oceanic data, but we don't have ways of sharing it, right? So we actually wrote this guy named Cody Marks Bailey, my co-founder, brought this guy named William Intrican. William Intrican created this thing called EIP3, which now is ERC721. And he was like, you need to have a token that can store this data because we shouldn't have the possibility of having someone be able to delete climate data. And I was like, absolutely, let's actually use this technology for good. So, but in that process, to Kwasi's question, I met some really amazing people that I would never probably work with because, well, maybe they're politicians. What am I going to do with a politician? Like, and then I meet somebody else. They're all really cool people wanting to do the same things. And so I said, well, what if we could just put the people together that don't like to talk together, like the scientists, the artists, the philanthropists, the business leaders, and say, guys, we're all going to go to the same room. We're going to focus on how to protect 30% of the world's oceans by 2030. We're all going to come from different perspectives, and maybe we can hold each other accountable on 12-month rolling cycles. And so that's what UltraMarine is. We just finished our 4th year, and some really amazing accomplishments have come out of that. And but that's what UltraMarine is. Do you want to get that?
Yeah, well, I mean, just so what everyone understands, what he's talking about is a gathering on Richard Branson's island, where they're bringing together the world's leaders with regards to conservation and actually solving some of these challenges that we all face. And Jeremy has been the catalyst for that for the last 4 years. So I think I want to make sure people actually understand what he's talking about. And it's not just about a party. Tell us about some of the action items when you're gathering this amount of brain power in one place. What's your agenda? What do you hope will actually happen?
Well, so I started OCN.AI for the very purpose of really trying to use technology to measure what's happening inside the ocean, right? But like I said, I would meet some people that had different perspectives. They had different experiences than what I had personally. And so the objective on UltraMarine was to maybe put people together that I wouldn't normally do business with. I mean, how many times do we actually meet individuals and say, oh yeah, that's interesting, I'm gonna move on to the next one because I have no idea what to do with you. But really, could we capitalize on it? Could we capitalize on our differences, right? And so while, yes, we do it on Necker Island, and Richard we're grateful to Richard for letting us do it on Necker. It sounds super exclusive, but it's exactly the opposite of what I want. The only reason why I really want to do something on Necker is because when you think of some of the biggest things that have happened that make the greatest amount of impact, a lot of them started on Necker. I mean, the elders was the Carbon War Room, Nelson Mandela, Peter Gabriel, like all these amazing people got together and said, what if we put our resources together to do this common good? And that's why I felt that could possibly be the pebble in the pond that creates the wave and is something much huger and beyond all of us. So, I mean, that's really what we try to accomplish there. And just to give you kind of I always code this with a so what? Because it's like, yeah, okay, is it a big party? Yeah, we have fun. But do we actually get work done? This year alone, every year we have accomplished accomplishments that we actually commit to and we move on to the next one. But this year alone, I brought a group called CRDC, the Center for Regenerative Design and Collaboration. It's a mouthful, but what they've done is they have a system that takes all 7 types of resins and plastics. They've turned it into a product called Resonate, which is a great, I told them that's a huge branding move, I love that. But it's an aggregate for concrete. So we introduced them to the administration in South Korea. South Korea is now licensing their technology and has plans to completely eradicate their waste in South Korea, the whole country, in the next 2 years. So it just goes to show you that if we, we've got 8 billion brothers and sisters on this planet. If we wait for everybody to do the right thing, we're all dead. But I do believe that there's probably 10,000 people who have influence on all of us. And so why can't we just get past ourselves, look at this as one blue marble, and figure out ways to work together?
Whew. Yeah, I agree. I think you're right. I've been a big fan of your work since we met years ago. So I highly encourage all of you guys to grab Jeremy if you get a chance. We're just scratching the surface, obviously, with this conversation today, but so much you guys are contributing to so many of these efforts. Raymond, you're going to be speaking on the floor of NFT.NYC tomorrow, correct? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's really taking a look at the future utility of NFTs as we go from this art collection to non-fungible tokens, and the power of ESAIYOs, the power of owning your identity, the power of owning the identity of the things that you own and bringing it to life, and what that means in the world, and what it means for the future. Because we have immutability, but I believe we can have infinity, where the story is continually unfolding, and we can always look back, we can always trace. Imagine if the Library of Alexandria had not been destroyed. The access to knowledge would be amazing. Our lives would not be the same that they are today if that library was not destroyed. So let's protect that. Or let's surface it and bring it into life.
All right. Well, we're going to do a quick audible here. I'm going to call Rachel Carey up to the stage. Thank you, Raymond and Jeremy. The guys will be around. Please grab them.